So in September, I made the move from my hometown in South Florida, San Diego, California, which was a literal dream come true for me because it's something that I wanted for a long time. But for the longest time, it seemed really impossible, and there were many times that it seemed like I would never make it out here. But I kept the faith and I believed that I could make it work, and now here I am. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I manifested my dream luxury apartment in my dream state. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nat and I help you step into the next level version of yourself. So if that aligns with you, you can hit the subscribe button. You can check out my courses, bundles, and sign up for my weekly newsletter at the link in my description box. So without further ado, let's get into it. So if you watched my video on visualization, then you kind of already know the backstory of how I got here, but if you haven't, I'll link that up here. But basically, in the summer of 2021, I moved back to my parents' house after a breakup, and I made the decision that I wasn't going to move out from my parents' house unless it was to San Diego, because I lived in San Diego in 2016 for about 8 months and I loved it so much that I always felt called to go back. The problem was that I wasn't in a place to move cross country by myself. I had literally just quit my job to pursue entrepreneurship. I had a lot of debt and I was going through a breakup. So I wasn't in the right place financially or mentally to make a huge move like that. And there were many times in the last year that the idea of coming out to San Diego was literally just a dream and nothing more. It didn't feel like I could really make it work. It literally felt impossible. But I didn't care how possible or impossible it felt or how scary it felt. I held on to the dream that I would make it out here no matter what. So when I first moved back to my parents' house after the breakup, I was not happy with it at all. I felt really bad about myself for being 25, having to live with my parents, and moving back home after a failed relationship, which now I realize like it's really not the biggest deal at all. And if you have that relationship with your parents to live with them, like by all means do so, especially because rent is expensive nowadays. And I know that the reason for me feeling like a failure at the time in my life was literally just all ego. So the first couple of months of living at my parents' house, they were really hard for me because not only was I grieving the relationship, but I was also coming to terms with the fact that I wasn't where I wanted to be in life. And I didn't really expect myself to be 25 and being where I was. But then I reached a point where I realized that if I wanted to completely change my life and I wanted to manifest my dream life, this life in San Diego, I wasn't going to do that by hating where I was at currently. My decisions had led me to that point in my life. It was nobody's responsibility but my own that I was there. So the first thing that I did to manifest the life that I'm living now was I accepted the life that I was living at the time. Even though I wasn't very happy with it, I accepted it. And trust me, it took me a long time for me to accept that reality, but eventually I did. Eventually, I started really enjoying my life there at my parents' house. I moved out of my childhood bedroom and into the empty bedroom, which had a better view. And I literally made that room like my little sanctuary. And that changed so much for me. That literally changed my energy so much because I loved that room. I loved just going out and like being able to sit on the balcony. And I also started to focus more on what I had to be grateful for. Living at my parents' house, I didn't have to pay that many bills, so I was able to focus on my business. I was able to spend a lot of time with my family. And I had the time and space to really go inward and heal and work on myself because I wasn't really doing much except for working at that time. And the second thing that I did was I let go of my attachment to my dream, my obsession with it. I realized that I was placing my happiness in this future version of my life, living in San Diego. I was holding on so tightly to this goal that it was literally making me miserable every single day because I had no idea how I was going to make it work. So what I did was I slowly started to let go of that attachment that I had to it. And to do that, I visualized myself not going to San Diego. I imagined myself just living at my parents' house forever. And I imagined myself not changing anything about my life and not having the life that I want. And the way I knew that I was overly attached to this dream was that the thought of not having it literally broke me down. So it took me a couple of times of doing this, visualizing myself not having this life, to finally come to peace with it and to finally accept it and to detach from it. And it's not that I gave up the goal. I still wanted to come out to San Diego. I just gave up attaching my happiness to the goal because I knew that as long as I had my happiness tied up in this dream, I was never going to really be happy. So there's actually a universal law called the law of paradoxical intent, which states that if you're desperate to make something happen, that repulsive vibration will actually push it away, turning away the very people and situations that might bring your desired outcome. And that's exactly the vibration I was in. I was so desperate to make this dream happen that I was literally repelling it. So I let it go. Like I said, it was really difficult to do this, but I practiced it day by day. I asked myself, can I find happiness here? Can I find happiness today in this present moment? Can I let go of my obsession to this future goal and just find peace right here? And eventually that's exactly what happened. I still held on to the goal. I still wanted to come to San Diego, but I wasn't so attached to the outcome anymore. I found happiness and acceptance with whatever outcome occurs. And I genuinely started to really enjoy my life at my parents' house. I found peace in my daily and nightly walks with my Maya, with my little dog. And I would spend time on the balcony pouring into myself. And I really enjoyed my time hanging out with my family. And this energy, being in this energy, is what attracted my dream to me, because the way that it all unfolded was so divine. Everything unfolded in a way that I didn't even expect it to. So when I set the intention of coming out to San Diego, I had a very specific plan for how it was all gonna work out, like from A to Z. This is exactly what needs to happen for me to get to San Diego. But that is not what happened at all. And that's something else that I had to let go of, was the control and like the need for it to be exactly the way that I had planned it to be. And I decided to just trust the universe and trust that the universe has a better plan than I do. And that's exactly what happened. So anyways, I met a beautiful soul in January who very quickly became one of my closest friends. And it just so happened that she lived in San Diego, but I had no intentions of living with anyone, so it never even crossed my mind to potentially be her roommate. I was actually planning on coming out here and living in a studio apartment, 1-bedroom apartment by myself, because I didn't want to live with anybody. But as her and I got closer, we both started to realize that we actually wouldn't mind living together because we were very similar yet opposite, which meant that we could balance each other out and still respect each other's space and boundaries. But still, just because I found a roommate doesn't mean that I was financially ready to move out there. I was still in a place of struggling with money, and I told her that I probably wouldn't be able to make the move until the end of the year, or even next year, even 2023. But in June, I decided to do a 30-day meditation challenge where I would visualize myself living in San Diego every single morning. And I'll be going into more details about that in my next video, so make sure you hit the subscribe button. But basically, by the end of that month, I realized that I could make it work a lot sooner than I thought. My income was increasing, so I was feeling more financially secure, and I started to feel better and better about moving out there. So in July, my friend started to look for apartments, and she found the most beautiful apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows, a beautiful view overlooking the city, and the apartment was huge. It was literally our dream apartment, but the issue was that it was about $1,200 over our budget. So we would have to apply for another unit since we couldn't afford that one. But they told us that rents are always going up and down, and we had to wait 2 weeks to apply anyways. So in those 2 weeks, I literally affirmed every single day that we got that apartment that we wanted, and it was only $100 over our budget instead of $1,200 over our budget. I scripted about the apartment, I spoke it out into existence, and I visualized them telling us that the rent reduced significantly to exactly how much we wanted to pay for it. And I let it go. I accepted the current reality. I accepted that it was all happening the way it was supposed to. And I accepted that I might have to pay over budget, and that was okay. But when it came time to apply for the apartment, not only had the price reduced, it reduced to below our budget, over $1,500. Like, that does not happen. The best apartment in the unit, the most expensive one, was now below our budget. They told us that that literally never happened before, and it's never been that low before. And we applied within days, and we got approved. And then literally a month later, I made the move, and now here I am, literally living in my dream state in a luxury apartment with a roommate that is so aligned with me and who's become like a sister to me. And I wanted to share this story with you to remind you that it is so possible for you to manifest what you desire, even if you have absolutely no idea how you're going to do it. hold on to the vision and keep the faith even in the moments that you feel so far away from it. Like I said in the beginning, there were so many times where I thought it was literally impossible for me to make it out here to San Diego, and I let it go. I just let go of my attachment to it. I let go of my obsession to it, because honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, had I made it work when I wanted it to last year, it would have been very forced. It would have been very quick. It wouldn't have been as effortless as it was this time around. So you never know how things are going to play out for you. You never know, the plan that the universe has for you. So just trust that what you desire is coming for you, and continue to affirm that it's already yours. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.